Welcome to Commander for Dummies, brought to you by Garuda, where you are never alone. I am your host. My name is Bobby Maximus, and I am here to take you on this journey through Magic's best game, Commander. Now, a little bit about this series. I've been playing Magic for 31 years. I started collecting in Unlimited. That was a lifetime ago. We're talking 1994. Some of you weren't born yet. And at the start, I collected cards. I collected sets. I played 60 card games. A lot of kitchen table, if you will. A couple of years ago, some good friends of mine convinced me to get into this game called Commander. 100 cards, with one of those 100 being your commander. And honestly, I was instantly hooked. I wanted to convert all of my decks, all of my sets, all of everything into Commander decks. But the learning curve was high. Commander is a different game. The 40 life total versus the standard 20 life total you see in 60 card games completely changes the nature of the game and the cards you are going to choose. There's also different legalities. There's a different ban list. There's all kinds of stuff to consider. So the goal of this series is to make Commander as palatable as possible. If you're struggling with building a Commander deck, and I have 57 Commander decks, I have struggled, believe me. This series exists with the intent of making the process easier and more fun for you. Now, I've already done a couple of these videos. I did a video on the top 10 artifacts that you need in your Commander deck, the top 10 green cards that you need in your Commander deck, and today we are going to talk about 10 essential white cards that are good in any Commander deck ever. And with that all said, we're going to start the show by talking about some game changers, because these are not included in my top 10. Now, in any universe, in any timeline, you would want an Enlightened Tutor in your deck. You would want a Drannith Magistrate in your deck. You would want a Serra's Sanctum in your deck, because every Commander deck is going to have some really good enchantments in it. You are going to want a Smothering Tithe. You are going to want a Teferi's Protection. There's another white game changer called Humility. I actually don't own one, though, so I'm not picturing it here today. You're going to want one of these cards in your deck, but there's a problem. The list that I want to talk to you about, these 10 cards right here, and I'm not going to spoil any early for you, those can go in any deck. If you're playing Bracket 2, you're not allowed any game changers, and these are on the game changers list, so they won't fit in your Bracket 2 deck. They certainly won't fit in your Bracket 1 deck. If you're playing Bracket 3, I've got to narrow it down to only 3 of these cards, because any more than that, it pushes me to a Bracket 4. So Enlightened Tutor, Drannith Magistrate, Smothering Tithe, Teferi's Protection, Serra's Sanctum did not make the list. That's the premise we're operating on, that the 10 cards I'm going to show you can go in any Commander deck ever. All right, you got it? Then let's dive in. Let's go. First up, we are going to talk about some honorable mentions that didn't quite make the cut. First up, Galadriel's Dismissal. You could pay the kicker cost, which costs 2 colorless and 1 white mana, and then target creature phases out. This is an instant. If this spell was kicked, each creature target player controls phases out instead. This is great protection against any type of board wipe that somebody's going to throw at you. It's also a very expensive card. That's why it did not make the cut. We have Flowering of the White Tree. I absolutely love this card. I think it was one of the better cards in the Lord of the Rings set, and it's useful in a lot of white decks. You're getting some great bonus content today, by the way. But legendary creatures you control get +2/+1 and have ward 1. And non-legendary creatures you control get +1/+1. Giving your creatures a bump is always a massive advantage. And what I really, really love about this card is the super low casting cost. I really pay attention to the total mana value of the deck. And honestly, in the future, I'm going to do a whole video breakdown on mana value. But basically what it is you take all the cards in your deck, lands have a mana value of 0, and you add these up together. So the mana value here is 2, the mana value here is 1. These cards, you have 3. For me, for a deck to be really competitive, for a deck to move really fast, you've got to have that mana value under 200. And so I inherently like cards that are really powerful with a low casting costs, and everybody does, right? You can cast this stuff right away. So Flower Near the Right of the White Tree, it is a winner overall. Another low casting cost card that comes in super handy, and you can get this card for dirt cheap, frankly. Authority of the Consuls. Creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. That's a massive advantage, all right? And then whenever a creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you gain 1 life. So this card kind of does 2 different absolutely wonderful things. And I promise you, in a game of Commander, neither of these things are ever a disadvantage, and neither of them are bad. And again, this card has a super low casting cost. Now, breaking the mold of the super low casting cost, because again, I do want to keep that mana value of my deck low. Again, under 200 for me is the marker where a deck is going to move fast and furious. In fact, I shouldn't say fast and furious. It's going to be competitive. In a perfect world, I want that thing 160. I want that thing 170. But one that is not a low casting cost, and that's why it didn't make the top 10, but it is a super useful card, Elish Norn Grand Cenobite. It's got vigilance, and it gives your creatures a bump of +2/+2, and it kills, I mean, sometimes it kills the other person's creatures. Creatures your opponents control get -2/-2. If your opponents have a bunch of creatures that are +1/+1, they have a bunch of tokens, this card absolutely wipes them out. So an honorable mention, but I wanted to show you because you will want to put this in some of your Commander decks, and I actually play it in some of my Commander decks, all right? So with all that said, we have talked about the reason we don't have game changers. We have talked about the honorable mentions. Now it's time to go over the top 10 cards that we would put in a Commander deck, the white cards that you want in any Commander deck ever. These are in no particular order, but the first one up we are going to talk about is something that actually was a game changer. It's Trouble in Pairs. It was delisted, and I absolutely love this card. If an opponent would begin an extra turn, that player skips that turn instead. I can't even tell you how important that is. Someone taking an extra turn is a massive advantage for them. If you can shut that down, that's going to be a huge plus. And then whenever an opponent attacks you with 2 or more creatures, draws their second card each turn, or casts their second spell each turn, you draw a card. I love cards that help with the card draw mechanic. Listen, in a game of Commander, the 3 most important aspects to building a competitive deck. We talked about mana value, and that's a greater overarching kind of theme. But the 3 specific things to help you be competitive, you want to pay attention to card draw. The more cards you can draw, the greater the chances you are going to win. I can't stress that enough. In Commander these days, turn 8 or turn 9 is considered the long game. If you have a Commander, you have 99 cards left in your Commander deck. If you're only playing 8, 9, even 10 turns, there's 89 cards that you will not see. You have to have access to those cards if you want to win. And the percentages are not in your favor, that you're just going to get the perfect opening hand, right? So Trouble in Pairs allowed some card draw. Card draw is a massive part of Commander. Another important part, mana ramp. If you can mana ramp, you can get your bigger, badder creatures and spells out quicker. Mana ramp is key. There's all kinds of great mana ramp artifacts. There's all kinds of great mana ramp creatures. And then the third is tutoring. Because again, you might not see that card you want. So if you can go in your deck and get it, that is a huge advantage. But Trouble in Pairs pays attention to card draw. So it shuts down people from taking extra turns, and it allows you card draw. This is a massive winner. This goes in almost any white deck that I've ever built. I actually need to get more of these. One of the things you'll learn about me, if you've seen any of my other series, like Muscles and Magic the Gathering, I only use real cards. I don't use proxies. I don't put graphics on the screen. Like, I am literally the realest Magic the Gathering creator in the world today. And this is the most real show. So only real cards. I need more copies of these. Next card up, a card that has saved me more times than I can tell you. Chroma's Will. Choose one, and if you control a commander as you cast this spell, which, let's face it, you're probably going to control your commander. You may choose both. Creatures you control gain flying, vigilance, and double strike until end of turn. Creatures you control gain lifelink, indestructible, and protection from all colors until the end of turn. Now, if I only had to pick one, I'm probably picking the second. I use this card more for that. But if I can use both, this card is an absolute game changer. Someone launches an all-out assault. You want to swing to win the game. A Chroma's Will is one of the best cards ever. And this literally goes in any white commander deck ever. I think I said this. I have 57 total commander decks. A lot of them are white. I need a bunch of copies of this card. It is that good. So a Chroma's Will. Another card that has saved me more times than I can count. And we have a beautiful Final Fantasy Secret Lair printing of this card. We have Perron's Silence Magic, a.k.a. Silence, all right? Your opponents can't cast spells this turn. An absolutely massive shutdown piece. If you're trying to do something, if you're trying to enact your winning strategy, you don't want to get countered. You want somebody to shut you right down. You play this card and you are in the driver's seat. This is another card that I would put in any commander deck that I own. It's an instant, so you can play it any time, and it's for the low casting cost of 1. So again, you're almost always going to have the mana to get it out. So there are 3 cards. The fourth one up. And these are all kind of similar, right? Because they can act as shutdown cards, but Dawn's Truce, a nice low casting cost. In my opinion, this is one of the better cards from the Bloomborough set, which I absolutely loved. But it's an instant, and you can gift a card, and that's never a bad thing. People are scared to give away cards in a game of Commander. But you know what's really underrated in the game of Commander? Yes, I talked about the mana value. Yes, that's important. I talked about the card draw. I talked about the tutoring. I talked about the mana ramp. But politics. Politics are absolutely massive. If you're the most hated person at the table, you will almost never be able to win a 3v1. Like if the 3 people decide that you're the threat and they gang up on you, and I have been there, you are not winning that game. There is no way. The fact you can gift a card to a person, you can make a friend, that's a massive, massive thing that's completely underrated in Commander. But let's look at the meat and potatoes of the card. You and permanents you control gain hexproof until the end of turn. If the gift was promised, permanents you control also gain indestructible until the end of turn. So here's the deal. I'm almost always going to gift a card because I want indestructible. Yes, hexproof is good, but indestructible is massive, and I will gladly gift somebody a card to make that happen. And this card has saved me again more times than I can count. You're noticing a big theme with the white cards that I'm choosing. A lot of defense here, a lot of shutdown cards. And this card is an absolutely massive one. It's the Voice of Victory. I love powerful, low casting cost creatures. Again, back to that total mana value. But this card, Voice of Victory from Tarkir, mobilize 2. Whenever this creature attacks, create 2 tapped and attacking 1/1 red warrior creature tokens, sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. So kind of a good little bonus if you want to attack. But the big thing here, your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. Another shutdown card, right? When you look at building a commander deck, there's a couple of different things. 1, you could be on the defense all the time, or 2, you can just make your deck so overwhelming that you just want to enact your plan, that you're just going to do what you do and you're going to win. This card kind of plays both sides of the fence. It shuts down my opponent so they can't get spells during my turn, but it allows me to enact my master plan. So the Voice of Victory, I would certainly put this in my deck. And again, for a low casting cost of 2, it's an absolute no-brainer. Another one that works in that regard, the Grand Abolisher. During your turn, your opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. Another incredible shutdown card. It's the low casting cost of 2. And again, it's a fit in any white deck ever. And one of the things I was going to tell you, here's another copy of the Drannith Magistrate. it's not much different than the Draneth Magistrate. Like, it's kind of in the same vein, right? Like, yes, the Draneth Magistrate does some different stuff, but in my opinion, the Draneth Magistrate is a game changer, but the Grand Abolisher and the Voice of Victory should also be game changers, because sometimes they're as powerful, if not more powerful, than the Draneth Magistrate. So I rank these up here with the Draneth Magistrate. In my opinion, these should be game changers. I would want these in my deck. Now, for arguably the greatest one-drop white creature of all time. And this is not an expensive card. Listen, when I am considering these top 10 lists, I try to keep the cards reasonable, right? Like, in any world, you would want to put a moat in your deck. And I actually might have a copy of a moat that I would love to show you, because it's one of my favorite cards. But the reason I did not put it in here is, A, you might not play with creatures with flying, but B, also it's really, really expensive. Like, we're talking $1,000 card, and you're not going to be able to just go get one of those. So there it is. Moat, some bonus content for you, right? This card is fabulous. Non-flying creatures cannot attack. If you've got a lot of flyers, this is an absolute game ender, so I love the moat. But I'm not going to put it in my top 10 list because it's a $1,000 card. Most people are not affording that card, or have never even seen it, right? I was hesitant to put the Esper Sentinel in this list because it is fairly expensive. I think this card is around $45 these days, but it is the greatest white one drop ever, so it had to be included. Whenever an opponent casts their first non-creature spell each turn, draw a card unless that player pays X, where X is Esper Sentinel's power. You're probably going to be drawing a lot of cards with the Esper Sentinel. It's a one drop. It's a 1/1 creature. Again, one of those cards that should be in any white deck ever. And in my opinion, should probably be a game changer. Like, when I look at the game changer list, and I've got it pulled up here, we got the Draneth Magistrate, we got the Enlightened Tutor, Humility, Sarah's Sanctum, Smothering Tithe, Teferi's Protection. Like, honestly, the Esper Sentinel, the Voice of Victory, the Grand Abolisher, Dawn's Truce, Silence, Akroma's Will, Trouble in Paris. It actually was a game changer but got delisted. Like, I'm going to rank these cards up with those game changers. So these are phenomenal. But the Esper Sentinel, the greatest one drop ever in the color of white. And it is an absolutely insane card to get some card draw advantage. Again, do not sleep on that. Card draw advantage is everything in a game of Commander. Now, if that is the best one drop ever in white, this is probably number 2, the Mother of Runes. It's a human cleric. It's a one drop for a 1/1, and you can tap it, and target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until the end of turn. You know what you need in Commander? You need to protect your commander, right? If I have Rick on the battlefield, this is a random commander I have right here. It's one of my favorite cards from The Walking Dead. Actually, it's not just random that I have it here. I'm pulling these cards from actual decks that I play with. But look at what Rick does. As Rick enters the battlefield, choose 2 abilities from among First Strike, Vigilance, and Lifelink. Humans you control have each of the chosen abilities. And as long as you control 4 or more humans, humans you control get +2/+2. This is one of those commanders, and this deck that I have, that he's a commander of, it's based on having him on the battlefield, right? If you have an Edgar Markov deck, you need Edgar Markov on the battlefield. You need some way to protect those guys. The Mother of Runes is the ultimate piece of protection. You can do this at instant speed, and you can protect against any kind of removal. So the Mother of Runes, for a one drop, I'm going to have it in almost every single deck. And this is a fairly cheap card. You can get this for under $10 these days. There's different, values for different versions of this. This is a more expensive version of it because it's a secret layer, but I do like fancy cards. At any rate, this will go in any white deck that I build, especially a deck where I want to protect the commander. Something like my Kalia deck, something like my Edgar Markov deck, my Rick Humans deck, all right? So the Mother of Runes, an absolutely fantastic card and one of the greatest white drops ever. Now for the final 2 cards, and I really, really, really believe these have been devalued And I believe these are criminally underrated in a game of Commander. You know what you don't have enough of in your Commander deck? You know what I don't have enough of in my Commander deck, and I've been guilty enough? Not playing enough removal. You see, when I build Commander decks, I don't just build them to be competitive. I build them for showcasing my collection. So sometimes, like in my Rick deck, I will favor, if you will, a really cool human over removal. But in any good Commander deck, you need a lot of removal. Like, I don't think it's absurd to have 10 pieces of removal in your Commander deck. But the two, and these are the two greatest white removals of all time, maybe two of the greatest removals, period, in the game are Path to Exile, number one. And by the way, you know what number two is. Shout it out loud. Shout it at your screen. You know what it is. It is coming. But the first is Path to Exile. Exile target creature. Its controller may search his or her library for a basic land card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle his or her library. The fact you can exile the target creature is massive, especially if somebody's creature has indestructible. Like, what are you going to do if someone puts an Emrakul onto the board that has indestructible? You have to get rid of that thing. And I promise you, giving that person, your opponent, a basic land to be able to get rid of their indestructible creature is 100% of the time, 1,000,000% of the time, it is always worth it. People sleep on this card a little bit because it's included in almost every pre-con ever that has white, because it is really, really cheap. But this card is insanely, insanely powerful. Now, another card that fits the bill as well, and I was hesitant to rank these, right? Like, because these are truly 1A and 1B. We have Swords to Plowshares. Remove target creature from the game. This creature's controller gains life equal to his power. Now, truthfully, I actually like Path to Exile better, because if you have to get rid of someone's 15/15 indestructible creature, they're going to gain a lot of life. And I don't feel like handing out 15 life. I'd much rather give somebody a basic land. Like, I don't think that's going to hurt me that much. Especially in Commander, where there are people who don't have basic lands in their deck, right? The people that are paying 5 or 4 colors, they might not even have a basic land. So I think I like Path to Exile better. But Swords to Plowshares is another classic removal. And these cards, like, if I was to look up my deck lists right now, I have a ton of these in my decks. In fact, let's do that. Let me do a quick little search here of my deck lists, because I'm going to tell you I have 57 Commander decks. Let's take a look and see how many Swords to Plowshares that I have, just to tell you how much I value it, right? So let's go Swords to Plowshares. All right, I have 22 of these in circulation right now. So to put that in perspective, I have 57 Commander decks, and I have 22 of these. How many Path to Exiles do I have? All right, let's take a look. And again, I told you this is the most real Magic the Gathering show on the internet, thanks to Garuda, where you are never alone. Wow, Path to Exile, I have 16 of them. So literally, these are in almost every single white Commander deck that I own, because they are that good. No lies told. I practice what I preach. There's no hypocrisy here. So do me a favor. Get these in your deck. And the best part of it, there was a day, I think it was 2016, where the Swords to Plowshares was a $7 card. Right now, you can get this thing for $1 or under. It is an absolute steal and a powerhouse card. So is the Path to Exile. Please, please, please do not sleep on removal. So again, let's do a quick review, because I know we want to do that. We have the honorable mentions. We have Elish Norn. We have Authority of the Consuls. We have Flowering of the White Tree. And we have Galadriel's Dismissal. All fabulous cards. Just didn't quite make the cut, but I am here to help you. I want you to have the best Commander experience ever, so I'm going to give you as much information as possible. And then in reverse order here, the 10 cards you absolutely need in your white Commander deck. Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares, Mother of Runes, Esper Sentinel, Trouble in Pairs, and I'm going to put that off to the side because I'm going to talk about one more thing. Chroma's Will, Silence, Dawn's Truce, the Grand Abolisher, I'm going to put that off to the side, and the Voice of Victory, 10 cards that you need to put in any white deck that you own right now. Now, one of the reasons I put these to the side, and I carefully constructed this list, when I look at my deck list, one of the things that you need to pay attention to, especially if you're playing 5 or 4 colors, it is really hard to say get a card out that requires 3 white pips in a 5-color commander deck. Like, you might not see that mana by turn 6, 7, 8, right? So a lot of times I favor cards that only require 1 white pip, if you will, because those will go in any of my 5 or 4 color decks. Hence why I use Swords to Plowshares and Path to Exile so much. If Path to Exile was 2 white, I probably wouldn't use it nearly as much. But these are still great cards, and they only cost 2. But that's just one more consideration that I wanted to leave you with as I talk about why I love these cards so much. So again, 10 amazing white cards that you need to put in your white deck ever. Again, we looked up my deck list, practicing what I preach. I have 57 commander decks, and Swords to Plowshares is in 22 of them. So great way to, enhance your decks, make them better, and listen. Here's the deal. Cards aren't inexpensive. When I'm going to invest in cards, I want to first invest in cards that I can use in any deck, that I can swap, not just specialized cards, to just build up a really, really good library. So thank you for coming to another episode of Commanders for Dummies. Make sure you watch all the videos in this series because they will really, really and truly help you. And that's why I am here. Remember I said at Gerudo, you were never alone. I am here because I want you. I love the game of Commander. It's a massive passion for me. I love my Magic the Gathering cards, and it really is an experience for me. And I want you to have the absolute best Commander experience ever. I want you to win more. I want you to enjoy playing more. But you know what I want more than anything? I want you to be happy, and I want you to have fun. So use this knowledge and go live your best Commander life.